Welcome back to Your Home Billings Podcast. My name is Mark, and today we have Shelby Williams with Yellowstone Realty Brokers. Shelby, how are you?
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me. I'm great. Happy to be here.
So, Shelby, you've been in real estate since 2016, right?
Yep, that's correct. Yeah.
How has the real estate journey been since then?
So I got started in real estate in 2016. I cold turkey quit my job and took the real estate course. It's a 7-day course, and then started that following Tuesday and never left. It was very terrifying going from something super secure to all commission-based.
I'm sure it's a huge jump.
Yeah.
When drew you in?
So I actually wanted to get my real estate license in 2008. Terrible time at that point. And my parents strongly encouraged me to go to college and pay my own way through college. And so I did that. And then after college, I was like, you know what? I'm still interested in the real estate world and real estate industry. And I actually shadowed a friend of mine. His girlfriend was a Century 21 agent in Wyoming. And I shadowed her one day and was like, okay, I think that's still what I want to do. So years went by. I planted some roots because it's very hard to have a successful real estate career bouncing around. So I planted some roots in Billings and then decided it was time to get my real estate license. And that was 10 years ago. So I'm happy I'm still here. I'm still doing it and still loving it.
Yeah. So Shelby, Yellowstone Realty Brokers, right?
Yep.
It's a lot smaller than a lot of the other brokerages around here.
Yep.
Tell me what makes them different from like the larger ones that are out there.
Yeah, definitely. So I chose to join Yellowstone Realty Brokers just this year. I'm very excited. It was a great move for me. I like the intimacy. I like the smallness of the office. I love the ladies I work with there. Jamie Clark is the owner, and I kept making a joke with her. I was like, thank you so much for building this brand new building all for me. And she's like, that's exactly what I did. I built this all for you. And it does. It felt like it was made for me. I just felt very at home there. Jamie is the incoming president-elect for the Billings Association of Realtors. So we're really involved in the community. She's been on the Partners for Parks. I'm at the Alberta Bear Board. So all of the camaraderie in there and our love for the community. And also we're dog friendly. So very important.
I gotta stop by. So walk me through the process of buying a house currently in Billings.
Okay. It really depends on the price point that you're at. I have buyers in various ranges. The buyers that are $350 and under on the West End, it's a challenge, right? Because that's the affordability range for a lot of other people. So I am still seeing some competing offers at that price point. And if you're on the higher side of things, there's a few more options for you. We have about 3 months of inventory in Yellowstone County. So our market is more what I would call normalized. But on that lower level price range, it is quite competitive. But I would say a buyer will look at, 1 to 20 houses. Sometimes I have buyers looking for 2 years before they end up deciding. So it really varies buyer to buyer. Mm-hmm. And it's been an interesting market. It's been such a shift since in the last 5 years, things have gone from way intense, way crazy to a little more normalized, and till now is what I'm considering a normal market. It's kind of where it was when I started in 2016, where it's not quite as intense. So
would you say it's going to stay this way for a while, or do you think it's going to adjust and fluctuate even more?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually expect it to kind of level out as it is. Rates are a little higher. Historically, rates are not bad, right? But rates are higher than they were 6 years ago. Like, it's very hard for people who are locked in at 2.8% to want to make a change at 6.5%. Like,
yes,
that's doubling their payment basically. So some people do, I think, feel locked into their home a little bit, even though they're ready to move. They're saving, they're planning, they're shopping their interest rates before they make those moves.
Shelby, what's the number one mistake that you see buyers make?
Yes, that's a really good question. I think the most common and probably the biggest mistake is shopping before you're ready. young buyers, they're so excited. They want to get their first home. They're sick of paying rent. They're sick of paying someone else's mortgage. And they're like, we really, really need a yard for our dog, or I'm having a baby, or whatever their life change is. And they're so excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
So they go start looking, and then they go to get financing and they're not qualified at where they want to be. And it's kind of a heartbreak for them. And that is a bummer. Like, let's maybe prepare, know where we're at payment wise, plan accordingly, save enough for our down payment, and then let's go start looking, going to open houses and scheduling showings and all of those things.
Right.
Yeah.
So getting pre-approved is definitely a first step, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Would you be able to help them with that?
Yeah, for sure. I have lots of local connections to local lenders, and it is good to know different lenders run different programs at different times. So you definitely have to stay in the know with the financing world. I'm not a lender. I will not tell you what
Yeah.
I don't need to know your financial situation, but I can point you in the right direction for that. For example, Valley Federal Credit Union was running a special program where they had 5.2 and 5.4% rates, and that runs out June 30th. So
Right.
it's good to know those things to say, hey, if you're shopping now, call Jessica or call whoever it is to get the ball rolling, because I think you'll have better luck and more buying power.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
So let's transition from buying over to selling.
Okay.
Okay, what's the number one thing that a seller needs to know before they start listing their home?
Yes. So I'm working with a lot of sellers right now, and a lot of sellers that, maybe bought in 2020 or 2019, and they'll be like, well, I bought my house in one day. I'm like, well, the market is very different than when you purchased it. The price going onto the market is the most important right now. Anything where I say, here's the comps, here's the data, here's where our price should be. This is most likely where a buyer is going to be willing to pay for your house, where it'll appraise. And they say, we want to try for $10,000 more. So, okay, I get it. I provide the information. You get to make the decision. If you put it on $10,000 higher, it has sat on the market a year. So I think the price is so crucial right now.
Yes.
Because a lot of buyers are financially strapped, and gas prices are up and groceries are up and all of those things. So every dollar they can save on their mortgage is really important.
So let's talk about that plan. Would you recommend doing the 10,000 more and then decreasing it, showing like a price reduction?
It depends on seller motivation for sure. It depends on the house. It depends on the comps, location. So it's very much depends on specifically case by case. So if you have somebody who's willing to wait 3 months, or maybe they don't want to move yet, maybe their new house is being built and they're like, we need to wait a little bit longer. But it is important to go to market within that range. You have to be reasonable with your pricing, and the first time on the market is really important.
It's crucial time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I know we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier.
Yep.
But I want you to elaborate more on the Billings market.
Yeah, for sure. So our market, it ebbs and flows. I call it rolling hills, where other big cities will see peaks and valleys. And we kind of stay steady. So our Billings real estate market is we're also the biggest city in 500 miles. We have a lot of good jobs. There's influence from people from Wyoming, from all around Billings in the state that are moving and coming into town. The average price in Billings is about $420, to give you an idea of that. Where if you look at something like Bozeman, it was in the 900s. I don't know what it is today. I'm not a Bozeman specialist, and I don't pretend to be, but that is what keeps Billings thriving as well. Like, you have that 400 price point is the average. We've got good inventory in the millions. We have people buying there. And then we have good inventory in the 400s. And then that 350 is harder to find. It's a little more competitive. Right. Average days on market is between 40 and 60. And we've got a 3-month supply of inventory. And, our list to sale price ratio is always an interesting stat, because it's 98%. So once you get to that point, that doesn't take into account price reductions, but once you get to that price point, you're getting 98% of the list price.
Wow.
So that's a very good stat to know for sellers as well.
So you touched on the Billings and the Bozeman, and I want to kind of dive in that a little bit more. You said Billings is roughly 400,000.
Yeah.
Average. Bozeman 700,000.
Yeah. Yeah. At one point I heard their average was 900, but I don't know exactly what that stat is today. I know that their market has changed quite a bit recently as well. But if you look, around the campus area, those houses in there, $800,000, close to college. And that drives that a lot, just being a big collegiate town. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Aside from the price between the two locations, why should people settle in Billings?
I do community tours. It's a volunteer thing that I do.
Oh, nice.
So if businesses, for example, Rocky Vista University is one of the main ones, but I do these tours for people who are coming in for interviews. They may not have the job. They may not know if they're going to move here, but if they're coming in to interview, I give them a tour. And so I say, why are you choosing Billings? I ask them that every time. We drive around in my car for about 2 hours together and get to know each other. And I say, why are you choosing Billings outside of this job? Why would you want to move here? And their answers are always interesting. It's, affordability. Like they can live here, they can work here, they can play here. Outdoor recreation is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Air quality is what I hear a lot, which is very interesting. And some of these people are coming, from Florida, the East Coast, and places like that. We've got clean water, stable jobs. The market's pretty stable. Schools, the hospital is a big one. So yeah, I think there's lots of reasons. I think it's a great place to raise kids. People will move away and then come back and raise their kids. And just to feel, it's a safe place. It feels like a big city, but has that small town heart.
It really does.
Yeah.
So Shelby, if someone's buying or selling a home right now and they're putting it off for a long period of time, what is it that you tell them?
It's very hard to time the market, right? Like you can't predict the future. We can anticipate it. We can't predict it. But I usually tell people it's what their situation is. Like if they have to move, we have to go to market now. If you're thinking about moving, okay, let's look at your financial situation. Let's look at your school situation. Let's look at what your kids are doing. Let's look at all of those things. So I definitely think it's situational for each client individually. But yeah, it's very hard to time the market. Summer in Billings is usually a pretty great time to buy and sell. Historically, September is one of my busiest months of the year. Really? Yep. So that's always interesting. I'm usually very busy in March and April, May, June, and then September. So, and this year, oddly enough, I was very quiet. Things were very quiet in March and April. And that spring boom was delayed. And maybe it's just me. I'm just one agent. There's like 1,000 of us, right? But for me, that was delayed quite a bit. And so it'll be interesting to see what the fall brings for sure.
Oh, this is exciting.
Yeah.
So Shelby, this is a little different, but I hear a lot of realtors and their crazy stories. So this is more from me.
Okay.
So,
I'm ready.
I want to hear your craziest story that you've experienced in real estate.
Oh man,
Do you have one?
I have so many interesting stories. I have some wild ones. I've had some very difficult situations just this year. Actually, I've had some very strange things come up. I had some people that were buying a condo and they're moving in early. We're doing something called early occupancy. They can live there early before they close. The sellers were generous, super sweet. Everything was going exactly as planned. We had their home closing on the same day as their purchase. And the day before the closing, we find out that the building itself is underinsured. And no one knew, not the HOA, not the property manager. Like it just came up. And so we were scrambling. We were figuring things out. And I said, you guys, they were worried they were going to have to move out. But we had sold their house.
Right.
Because that was the whole plan, right?
Yes.
We had a plan in place, and sometimes plans don't go exactly accordingly and you have to pivot. I said, the HOA, the building itself is having a holiday party. I think you guys should go. So they go to the holiday party. Everyone's like, we will get on this. We're going to increase our insurance on Monday. And Monday morning, we had everything all solved just because the people of the building in Montana are so caring.
Buildings.
So,
Yeah.
That was a wild one.
Yeah. Very exciting. Very. Yeah. Roller coaster of emotions for sure, especially coming from.
It's worries and fears and okay, let's just take a breath and think this through and we'll figure it out and keep you in the best position.
Normally I hear tell me if I'm wrong, but real estate agents are more of like the stone in a selling or buying experience.
Yeah.
Because there's already so much emotion going on with the clients and the tenants are pretty calm. Tell me, is that true?
Yeah. Real estate agents wear a lot of hats, don't we? We do a lot of different things and we do a lot of things behind the scenes. We're doing a little bit of therapy sometimes, and then we're doing some finances, and we're doing some plumbing. I've painted decks before. I've returned internet equipment. I mean, I've done all of the random things. I cleaned houses. I've cleaned up before. So I do a lot of random stuff, and that's why I call myself full service.
Yeah. Yeah. That's realtor. So, Shelby, if for any of the listeners out there, what's a really good way that they can reach you?
Yeah. I am very reachable. I am available via text, call, email, fax, owl me, whatever, carrier pigeon, whatever you want to do. So no, I'm most likely to respond via text. That's probably the quickest way to get a hold of me. 406-998-9446.
Thank you, Shelby.
So yeah, absolutely.